Hello, everybody. Human emotion, I guess, is the subject I'm going to be talking about in this video. It's just such an intense, amazing thing. The emotions that we feel, whether it be anger, sadness, happiness, the elation. Sometimes we mistake one for the other. For example, this morning, I was listening to a song that was moving, and you're crying. And you're crying for the happiness, but you're crying for the sadness too, and the meaning behind it. And people try so hard to mask their emotions. We're told to hold our anger back. We're told to hold our frustrations back. We're told to not show sadness and to try to always pretend like we're happy. And the reality is, as humans, we're not always happy. Life is full of ups and downs. Embracing the emotions when they come is one of the most important things to being a human. And we can cast aside everything else, religion, politics, where we come from, where we're going, and just get down to the moment of right now, what matters. And it's the emotion that you're feeling. And some people aid that or diminish that using drugs, substances, behaviors. A person may feel depressed, so they do something to make them happy, or a person may even feel guilty for being too happy. So they pretend like they're unhappy, or they live around people who maybe aren't doing as well, so they tend to assume that they're not doing well. But it's all perspective. How well we're doing or not doing is really a completely internal thing. Any one of you out there who is suffering, who's watching this video, if you are suffering, it's most likely from physical or mental anguish, but the fact that you're able to watch the video, the fact that you have the technology, you have electricity, and you have the time and the knowledge to find things and look things up and to be part of a community, to be part of even the internet community, means that there's always somebody worse off than we are. There's always somebody who's truly suffering. But when you really get down to the nuts and bolts of what makes suffering, it's not what you have or don't have, nor is it your experiences that have been negative that affect how you feel. There are plenty of people out there who are very happy people who have suffered immense casualties and suffered through very intense episodes in their lives, seen people die all around them, and those tend to be the people who speak the loudest. Those are the people who step up to the plate and want to make a difference. And it seems like folks who are less affected by things emotionally like to keep it that way sometimes. As a man, we're told, men don't cry. And then you hear, of course, years later, oh, real men can cry. And in the middle, it's not about whether you cry or not. It's about what are you crying for. Are you crying for yourself? Then you're not a man. If you're crying for the world or for others around you, there's nothing wrong with that, though. But if you're crying out of pity, if you're just, I've been in excruciating pain. I can't sit here and tell other people they shouldn't cry for themselves. But when we cry for a lost loved one, or when we cry for our own pain, we have to realize that and own up to it. Because only our perceptions can change. What's happened is never going to change. So our perceptions of things now, say if someone dies in your life, it may be travesty. But if you learn how to deal with that and understand that you're celebrating a life, not sad over death, then the next time somebody dies in your life, you're more able to deal with it. And I think this is the same way, rejection in life. We are rejected from our jobs, but we have the choice to not have a job. We get rejected by people, but we have the choice to be isolated so we don't have to deal with rejection. However, you will always be rejected by your own mind if you're not filling your own expectations. So therefore, we set no expectations. We assume that we are in the situation we're in, and that's just the way it is. Taking action the minute we think of something is very important to that, because we use our emotion as a catalyst for change. If we're angry about something, rather than hold it in, we should speak out. If that anger is not justified, then people will give us that feedback. If the anger is justified, then people will realize that there's something wrong with that particular situation. Each issue has to be dealt with in its own context, within its own paradigm, in each different culture. There's no one size fits all, but assuming that people are so different that we don't share some values is ludicrous. We share the same desire to happily express ourselves, to be free, to show how we feel, and to be honest with others and have others be honest with us. And the only way we're going to get any of that back, the only way we're going to get treated the way we want, is if we treat others that way too. If we feel like we would rather clam up and shut down because emotions are driving us and we don't want that, then we're going to miss what the emotions are trying to tell us. Now, you could get into the semantics, you could get into the details of the word and say that emotion is a human construct. I've had several discussions with people when I talk about altruism, and they say, well, altruism isn't really helping other people, it's helping other people so you can feel good about it, to help yourself. And I guess to give you an example, somebody posted on the Burning Man website the other day. She was saying how disappointing it is that the people who volunteer for it are often doing it to get a free ticket. And I said, well, this is compensation for your time. People don't want to volunteer for something for absolutely nothing. You have to get something back. You have to either know you're helping somebody. So if you're assisting someone who's less fortunate or poor, you can do it for free and volunteer and feel good about it because you know you're helping. But say at a situation like Burning Man, you're volunteering to help the whole of the group, which means you're helping yourself as well. And I think this is where we have to distinguish between the two. When we're really helping other people, or when we're doing something to help ourselves, it's not necessarily that different. Helping ourselves is helping others, and helping others is helping ourselves. But ultimately, we do have to look at our own lives first. We have to say, what do we want out of life? And that's often frowned upon by society. We're told that we shouldn't be selfish, that we shouldn't be worried about what we're going to do, that we should be all into our children or, making sure that others are happy around us, and many of us try. But ultimately, you cannot make anyone happy unless you're happy, and that's the most important point that I've learned in life. You have to lead by example. So I have absolutely no qualms telling people I have bad days. I guess I don't have bad days, I have bad moments in a day. I never let any event ruin my day, because that's grabbing onto that emotion of either anger or anxiety, depression, because it's a crutch. So if something happens, you drop something on your toe, you can scream shit, you can cuss, do whatever you need to do to get it away and get it out of there. Or if somebody angers you and says something you don't agree with, speak your mind. But you don't have to be combative or dismissive to do that. You just have to plant the seed of, this is what I think, you're welcome to your opinion, and move on. And often that's difficult because we quickly point the finger at other people. We say you're too weak, or you act too strong, or you don't cry enough, or you cry too much, or you're always pretending like you're happy, or you're always acting like you're sad, and we don't know what goes on in other people's minds. And that's the most important thing to remember. You have no idea what another person is thinking. You can think that you do, you can assume that you do, but when you're in certain states of mind, things get misinterpreted. Not to bring psychedelics into this, but people who have tried LSD might know that when you're in the middle of an LSD trip, you may see a couple people talking and you get a totally wrong impression about what they're saying. If you're the kind of person who has a self-image issue, then you might think they're talking about you. Or if somebody says something, you might totally misconstrue what they say because the part of your brain that deals with processing language is a little bit skewed in that state. And it's nothing like other drugs. It's a complete misunderstanding, and I believe that certain people get into that state of mind permanently in their sober state of mind, that they misinterpret what people think. They are suspicious of others. They think people are all talking shit about them. And I know, because I've been there. When I was younger, I went through a depression phase where I thought that all my friends didn't like me anymore. It was a time when my brother was hanging out with all my friends, and he used to talk all this shit about me, and I just assumed that people were feeling a certain way. Then I finally talked to my friends, and they're like, "What? I don't know. I just wondered where you've been," And these small misunderstandings can last a lifetime for some people. And until we bounce these ideas off of other people, we will not get the feedback that we need. And I know it's easy for us to want to wrap up in our own thoughts and think that we have it figured out. But no matter how much we learn, or no matter how intelligent we are, there's always more to learn from other people. No amount of book learning can prepare you for the proper emotional state that you have to be in any situation. And there are standards. You know, we wonder, why doesn't a person show remorse when they've done something, and why does how can a person find happiness in something that's so simple? Let me tell you, I saw a bumper sticker on the way home that I'm glad I remembered this. It's on the back of the truck in front of me this morning, and it said, what is it? We are obligated to grow old, but we're not obligated to grow up. And I resonate with that strongly. And growing up is assuming that there's a standard within society that we all have to fit into. You turned 18, you went to college, you got a job, you worked, you retired. It's all nonsense. And we forget that. We're so wrapped up in not just what we've been told from the past, but what our modern society is pushing on us. There's another angle to this, you know, and now that we've gotten into the age of the internet and there's so much information out there, people are saying, do what you love. And, you know, you don't have to work. You just have to work at something you love, and everything will fall into place. And that's just another delusion, assuming that every person's going to be fulfilled completely by just deciding what they want to do. No, it takes action. And action takes emotion. So you have to have emotion behind your action. It could be the fear of not having enough money to feed your family, which motivates you to work. Or it could be the anxiety that's caused by having a messy house that makes you clean your house. But the emotion drives our actions, and we are trying our damnedest to get along and understand each other and coexist in a crazy world. So I hope you all are doing fantastic today, and I'm just going to end it on that note.